Okay, everyone, let's take a look at the data assessment rubric for clarity. So, this first part, the first criterion, is focusing on the positive, one useful piece of data. So, whatever you are using that you feel is positive, useful, helpful, informative in any way to you, you need to explain that, what it is and why. So the outstanding demonstration, it is clearly explained and illustrated what the data is, right? So we have a clear understanding of what it is that you've discovered and why it's valued. Two specific connections to the what and the why. Two specific connections. So what? Give me two statements or bullet points, what it really is. So one can be the more specific and one can offer a more global understanding of where it fits in the bigger picture. And then two reasons why this was important. It informs you this way, it can be used by principals this way. This is a bigger kind of global explanation, not so much about your affective. This is purely from a cognitive or potentially behavioral perspective. Okay? So, two reasons, two explanations of what it is, micro and a little more macro, and then why you believe it is useful, your explanation. Then we move down to interpretation, and this focuses on the, if you will, negative. We've gone from the positive, the useful stuff, to the negative. Your interpretation. Three explicit reasons why and or how the data could be misused or misrepresented versus what it looks like. So on the surface, it may appear to be a simple breakout of demographics, but what it could potentially be used for, or what it appears to be to my eyes, my interpretation of this is actually, all right, so then we move down. Then we move into application. And again, we're focusing only on the positive. So criterion 1 is the useful data. Criterion 2 is the negative or misleading data. Criterion 3 with application is where we're again focusing on the positive, the useful stuff. Three specific connections to anything we've studied in this class so far. It could be something specific out of Understanding by Design. It could be something more global out of the Blue Book. It could be a micro component. It could be a bigger macro concept. Three ideas. Something we discussed in a threaded discussion, something you studied. Maybe it's an ethical thing that comes directly from your wiki work. This work is correct and logical, so you're able to actually apply what you've studied thus far and experienced thus far to helping us understand why you feel the useful data is indeed useful. Now, this is the one that tends to confuse people the most. So give me a moment here. You notice what's highlighted in yellow. It says the two different datum. So this means we're focusing on both the positive and the dangerous negative, the stuff that's misleading. However, you'll notice it goes down to focus more on the negative, okay? Now, this is your self-knowledge. This is more of your affective and your cognitive, but this is really about your perspective, okay? You. I believe because, I feel this way because, from my personal experience, what worries me is. So, the two different datum. The author connects three of the ideas how he or she will or could or might use to deal with ramifications of the negative information. Connections are logical. So really what you want, think of it this way. You could have a single slide called self-knowledge, and you've got one positive thing and then two or three that correlate directly to the negative. What this is about is how you are going to really use this stuff. How does it change your thinking? Particularly with the negative, particularly with the troublesome, worrisome. How would you use this data or combat, if you will, this data? What would you say to, maybe it's 2 or 3 different audiences? How would you deal with it to the kids or the parents or the school board or fellow instructors or administration. This is you really sharing how you are going to, or would, you can consider this role modeling, deal with this. Now we're looking for 3 specific ideas. I recognize this could be written better, and I'm actually thinking going forward I'm going to try and rebuild this in my copious amounts of spare time. But the author connects 3 of the ideas of how you could use or might use the data to deal with the ramifications. How could you use the positive stuff to deal with the negative if there's that correlation? If not, at the very least, 3 specific ideas of what you could do that would positively allow you to deal with what you're considering to be the negative data, right? So this one is, again, I understand, I am truly empathetic. It appears to be confusing because it says the 2 different data, and you've got 1 positive and 1 negative. So think of it as 1 positive, 2 negative. To be honest, as long as you've got some kind of personal plan, there's 3 specific ideas of how you yourself would deal, will deal, should deal, could deal with the information being presented to you, more on the negative side than the positive, but I'm okay if there's, 1 or 2 positives. The point is self-knowledge. How are you going to deal with this? What are you going to do to deal with something that could potentially cause problems, whether it's in the school, whether it's with the other parents, whether it's on a district level, a state level, in the individual classroom, your self-knowledge. How are you going to handle this? And then the last one is mechanics. Please, guys, please, I've had people get a little nutty and turn in 42 slides. That is so not what is appropriate here. The reason you're asked for 5 to 7 slides, and that doesn't count the title page, so theoretically the whole thing could be 6 to 8, is because it demands far more focused cognition to work succinctly than it does just to throw everything at the screen like pasta on the wall, right? Please be mindful. You are presenting this to a peer. All your words and thoughts shouldn't be on the slides. That would be a paper. This is a PowerPoint presentation. What's on the slides should be the bullet points that you then are talking through with your peer. Okay? I hope that helps. Any other questions? I'm an email away. Thank you.